Good morning. It is day 65, the Florida Trail. We are walking along the Ecofina River again for the last day. Day 2 of 2. We just left the Devil's Hole campsite just a little while ago. It's now 8 o'clock and we're just approaching a mile in. There were the two other campsites. The Seashell campsite, which had nice, easy access to the river. Oh, look at this! So I'm getting in the shadows. Yes, more gnomes. There are gnomes out here in this section. And here's some more up here. The Seashell campsite had good access to the river. However, the camping was there was space for camping, but what we saw was all kind of like very mulched up, kind of like this, but a lot more of it. Sticks and branches and things like that, so not a space we would want to put our tent on top of. And then we went through the Longleaf campsite, which was nice as well. Not nearly as much space as the Devil's Hole, but did have a couple of grassy spots we could have put our tent, and of course access to the river for water. So we were thankful that we stopped at Devil's Hole last night. It's the moral of that story. So today we have 19.2 or something like that miles to go. We're going to water up here in about mile 8. There's one of the last reliable water sources here for the day, until we get to a gas station at the end of the day, about 4 miles out from where we're camping alongside of the highway. It was in the mid 40s last night, so a bit chilly, but we slept until just after 6, just waiting for the sun to come up a little bit and start to warm things up. So it's going to be about 80 to get today, somewhere around there. So hopefully we can kind of make our miles before it gets too scorching hot along the highway. Yeah, we had some frogs in the pond last night. We had some barred owls, lots of little birds towards right before sundown, just making noise, and so we just kind of were able to enjoy the evening. We really didn't have any bugs per se, just a couple here and there, but nothing to speak of. It wasn't bothersome at all. It was a really pleasant evening. So we're glad that we were in that space. All right, that's it for now. Show you more trail while we have it in the next 10 miles or so before we get on the highway. All right, hope you're having a great day. All right, that's us. Highway 20, 8 miles. Enjoy this while we can. Here we have the Ecofina Bluffs. This looks like it's a little, maybe an oxbow or something in the river that has carved out these bluffs along the sides on this outer edge. Seeing some what I think are cliff swallows. I'm sure they're enjoying the fact that is there for them to make their nest in. Did we somehow jump over to the Appalachian Trail somehow. We just came down a long steep hill, and now we got to go up that. Hills in Florida. We had, I feel like I remember one other hill about a month and a half ago. That's the second significant climb we've had this morning, probably in the last, I don't know, mile and a half or so. Going through prairies and floodplains here as we leave the Ecofina area. We've turned away from the creek quite a while ago, actually, a couple miles, maybe 2 or so. Appears to be a restoration area, assuming after logging, for longleaf pine. Looks like there might be a prescribed burn going on over there. Pretty far away from us, fortunately. Don't even have to worry about smoke on the trail, let alone fire. All right, this is the Little Porter Lake. Well, that's Little Porter Lake. This is the Little Porter Lake campsite. Yeah, there's some space over there for some tents, and you can put some stuff here. We're gonna stop for water and look ahead to see where we might be able to take a break in the shade. Would be nice. But yep, this is one of our last reliable water sources before we hit the highway. All right, we are saying goodbye to trail for the day and all these longleaf pines that are growing in here. Right up there is State Road 20, and we're going to be on that for the rest of today and probably half of tomorrow or so. So it's a longer road walk. We got probably about 8.5 to 9 to do today to get to where we're camping. So that is where we're going. What do you got there? So that's where we started, and we went all the way up there around Okeechobee, all the way up here around Orlando through Ocala, and all the way up there. That's where we currently are. Less than 200 miles from the end. Woohoo! We're getting there, folks. This is River Lake. On both sides of the highway. Just hanging out at the gas station with our cold drinks and ice cream. Woohoo! You're gonna have to talk loud.
What?
Exactly.
Go ahead, time it for when the trucks don't go past.
All right, here we are with the wrap up for day 65. We're gonna try to maybe go through this quickly because there's highway noise. We started out today at what was
Devil's
it? Devil's
Hole.
Hole campsite, right? Yes. And that was a nice spot.
Yes,
I
it was very
enjoyed that.
nice.
Yeah.
The tent was soaked, however, everything was kind of soaked.
Yeah,
through.
lots of
Packed
condensation.
away a wet tent.
Yeah, very, very wet. And then we left there, and there were 2 other campsites that were similar, I guess, where you had to reserve in that nature.
But they weren't at a spring; they were just close to the river.
They were along the river.
They just had river access, so I'm glad that we stayed where we stayed.
Yes,
because that was an actual spring-fed lake pond.
Yeah, I definitely like that one better.
Yes.
Then the seashell and the longleaf were the other 2 that we did stop at. But I definitely liked Devil's Hole much better. So, and there was a lot more space as well. So, anyway, so then we moved on, and the next section for the next, I don't know, couple miles or so, Well, you said it was, kind of reminded you of the AT.
It was wooded,
Yeah.
you know, and it was a lot of tree litter, or leaf litter and stuff like that
Right.
underfoot on the trail, which
Yeah.
was fine and nice. But yeah, it was kind of rolly.
Yeah, we
Once
had
again.
hills.
Mhm.
We had some small hills.
Yeah,
up
some
and down.
switchbacks at times.
Yeah, yeah. So
Florida style switchbacks.
it was nice.
Yes.
I enjoyed that section.
Yeah.
Just because it was different. Not
Mhm.
That's something we haven't had yet on this trail. So
Yeah.
kind of. But then we got into the next section, if you will, and that's when it got more
Kind
open.
of rolled right into it. Yes.
Yeah.
More of like a prairie, kind of open pine tree
Right.
style kind of.
There were ponds
trail.
around, lakes and ponds, things like that. Kind of a little bit off in the distance,
Yeah.
kind of, but
We were also in the floodplain. I think that was the transition, was the floodplain
right.
into that space.
And I think there was some logging going on. Of course, there's lots of logging going on
Mm-hmm.
around, and also some reforestation. So we got to kind of see a mixture of
Yes.
all of that. But it was much more exposed.
Much more exposed. And the trail was sand.
Yes, yeah, very soft.
Yes.
Yeah, very sandy.
Mm-hmm.
So we did stop at the Little Porter. Is that what I said? Little Porter Lake. That's where we stopped to get water. That was in a recent burn zone. You said 2 months?
I think it's 2 months.
Something like that?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it was definitely, there was not much cover at all.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's probably a nice campsite as long as you're not there when it's really hot. And, give it some time and
There's no shade.
it'll green out again, hopefully, and it'll be nice again.
Yes.
But yeah, the water was a little difficult.
It was just shallow. It was fine. It was
Okay.
just shallow, so I didn't want to wade in because
Yeah.
it was midday and my shoes were at that point still dry. I wanted to maintain that.
Yeah.
So-
Well, we are still in kind of a dry season. I'm sure the water will get, fill out throughout
Yeah,
throughout
that
other
was
parts of the
fine.
year. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it was fine.
Yeah,
There
but it was a
plenty
nice lake.
there. It was just that,
Yeah.
I didn't want to wade into the deeper part to get water.
Right. So, and then we moved on from there, just looking. We would have taken a break there, but we wanted to have some shade. So, because it was getting
The sun
hot.
was hot.
So we moved on a little bit farther. There was a report of some like oak trees, things like that. But we weren't sure if that was going to exist because of the burn. So we did end up in a dry sinkhole, I think it was labeled on Far Out. And we decided just to stop there because it was
Shaded.
Yeah, it was shaded.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to take a chance.
Yep. We had a yard sale.
Yep.
Dried out all of our
Dried
stuff.
of everything. But then we did pass the oak. Well, first we
Which was
passed the chair.
really nice, yeah. Oh, the chair, yeah.
We passed the chair. Nothing, whatever. It's just chair sitting next to the trail. But yeah, we got to the oaks, and that was a lovely spot. We were
okay.
like, well, we wish we would have stopped there, but
You never know.
it's fine. We had good shade. And then we only had 2 miles or so to get out to Highway 20.
And then we walked Highway
And
20.
that was road walking. Yep, we had 9-ish, 8.5, 9 miles of road walking to get to where we are now. However, halfway through that, about 5 miles in, was a nice gas station. I think it's a marathon.
I think it's a marathon,
Right.
yeah.
And we hung out there. We actually hung out there for an hour and a half?
I was going to say that, yeah.
Something like
got
that.
something cold to drink. We filled our waters.
Yeah. And got a little food and ice cream and cold drinks. Yeah, it was nice. Sat outside. There's a spigot outside to refill your water bottles. So we did that before moving on our last 4 miles to get here. Yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up the day.
Yeah.
Other than where we are now.
The traffic after we left the marathon was much faster and much more.
Yeah.
Kind of increased in its intensity.
Well, it was.
And I'm thinking it's rush hour.
It was rush
People
hour.
are going home from work and things like that.
Right.
So
yeah, it was right around 5
really
o'clock.
Not crazy about this road walk.
Yeah. Yeah.
today.
Not terrible. So we were able to walk along kind of next to the fence along the road for a little bit.
Some shade there.
There was
just
some
because
shade.
the sun shifted.
And it was away from the highway, so that was kind of nice. But that ran out eventually, so we were back up on the road again. But yeah, just
and we're getting off, so obviously cars are coming, and we're on the shoulder as much as over as we can, and
Right.
then we dip into, the grassy section when cars are approaching us.
Yeah.
So, we're trying to be very cautious and diligent and safe, but
Right. But it's still, it's highway traffic, unfortunately. It's only a
highway
two-lane road.
yes.
But
But it's a lot of passing. People
Yeah.
are passing other people.
Yep, and they're 60 miles an hour. I mean, that's the speed limit. They're not doing that. So, but anyway, so as you can hear, we are camped right next to the highway tonight. There are two kind of dispersed camping sites here in this section, maybe a third, right along the highway in the tree line between the road and the power lines. So
We can see them, but they can't see us.
right. So that's where we are. It's probably going to be a little noisy, but I'm going to say I'm going to be tired enough. It won't matter. I don't think it's going to bother me at all. So so that's what it is. There was just nowhere else to go. We did I think I said this. We did 19 today, and to get anywhere different, I would say better, we would have had to do at least 5, maybe 6 more.
Yeah.
So anyway, tomorrow we head into the town of Ebro. I think that's how we're going to say it. We're not really sure, and we're going to Nero there tomorrow. So we have about 13 miles to get into town there tomorrow, and we're just going to try to get there early, do our thing. So that we have some time to actually get off of our feet.
Yes.
And get our chores done before we move on. All right, so that's it. We'll see you tomorrow on day 66.
Okay, good night.
Have a good night. All right, here we are at the campsite along Route 20, Nobo mile marker 940.2. This is got a lot of space in here, actually. There's space for tents over there. Obviously, where we are here, there's more there. Sorry that it's a little dark. And there's some more over there. We didn't originally come to this spot. We were over there on the other side of those trees. You'll know if you get into there. It's not nearly as open as this is. So if you're on that side, come a little bit farther north, like maybe 50 yards up the highway, and you'll find this spot. So that we made that mistake. We were all set up, and then we came over here and set up again, just to have a better, more open spot. So this is us for the night. Starting to get that really nice sunset coming in the sky. We will talk to you tomorrow. Have a good night.